Reverse, game breaks, will get you loaded up, put on more speed. Protect our kickers, our quarterback, our lead, our ball game. Ball, obstacles, block, cut, sides, through the game, tap, this win it. Press it again, we're here for the first minute. Carry my team there 6 minutes.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
Just look around. You got the mountains. You got the most beautiful city in the whole entire country. The university is absolutely, looks like it's out of a storybook. It's just beautiful. People are incredibly genuine and extremely nice. It's just a place that obviously I'd want my kids to go to school. And it sells itself. You don't have to sell anything about this place. You just got to get them here. You know, the old field of dreams. Yeah. Build it and they will come. It's already built.
We've got to raise the bar, and we've got to continue to raise the bar. I don't think any of those young men, when they signed to come to Tennessee, they signed to say they wanted to come and be a part of a 7-6 program. All right, they said they wanted to come and compete for championships, SEC championships, national championships. I know that's what I want. I know that's what Tennessee wants. I know that's what the expectation is. So we've got to continue to reassess everything that we're doing and make sure that we're continuing to move the needle in the right direction.
And yeah, you know, other than that, I think just the fans. I love the fans, the coach here. And yeah, that's pretty much what I chose.
I'm gonna have to get him to start watching my film in the off season too.
Obviously, I watch Coach Howard's old clips. You know, it's kind of like black because they ain't got that. They ain't got
black and white.
They ain't got the black and white film up, man.
Mean! Woo! My God! Gene!
But you know what? Let's talk a little Vols. That is not me trying to take any shine away from the phenomenal channel Talking Vols, and my guy Boogie Bentley runs, so shout out to them. But let's talk a little Vols here.
That's the way you do it. You play the guitar on the MTV. That ain't working. That's the way you do it. Money for nothing and your chicks for free. Now that ain't working. That's the way you do it. Let me tell you, damn guys ain't dumb. Maybe get a blister on your little finger. Maybe get a blister on your thumb. We got to install microwave ovens, custom kitchen deliveries. We got to move these refrigerators. We got to move these color TVs. Move on, move on. I should have learned to play them drums. Look at that mama, she got it.
Good Monday morning. Happy Labor Day. Happy Labor Day. Is that something that people say? Do people say Happy Labor Day? What even is Labor Day? I think it's the dumbest holiday ever, but a lot of you guys don't have to go to work today. We're going to hang out. We're going to talk some Tennessee football. Come on in. Are you drinking coffee this morning? Are you drinking coffee on this Labor Day morning? Come on in, smash the thumbs up, share out the link. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it. It's going to be locked on Talking Vols, but let's run it down. Let's see who's in the chat. Brad was here bright and early, dropping those custom Talking Vols emojis. Aaron Duck's in the house, says, let's go. Vols by a million. Wolfpack about to get whooped. Oh, man, we're going to ask Cain how he feels about that. Does he feel better, worse, or exactly the same after a glorified scrimmage on Saturday? Rocky Top Tom is in the house. Isaac Owens is here. What is up, Isaac? The Sethinator is here. Says, good morning, winners. How are we doing this morning? We're doing fantastic. Robin Jones is here. Says, good morning, Mr. Boogie Bentley. Hope you have a great Labor Day. Good morning, Robin. Welcome to the chat. Noah James is here. Tony Swanson. Ricky D says, great Labor Day morning. Talking Vols fam. Nothing better than a day off work watching my favorite YouTube program. I don't know. You're saying program. I don't know. Maybe JD Piquel runs your favorite program. Uncle Nico Dynamite says, Boogie going nonstop, and I love it. That's all we do around here. It's the time for talk is now. Cainer said talking season's over. The time to talk is now. So let's get him on here and let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Cain, do you think workers deserve more paid days off?
No, I mean, I think we get enough. But I do think it's funny. You're saying, what is Labor Day? What is Labor Day? Labor Day is a day for us to take it easy. Yet here we are working, but I don't view it as work. I view it as football season, and this is just a Monday morning, baby, and there's a lot to talk about. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, the two of us can never get on here and talk about work and complain and say whether or not we deserve more days off. But let's get into it. Let's talk about it. The first one's in the book, glorified scrimmage. That's pretty much what we knew it was going to be. But coming out of this thing, 69-3 over Chattanooga, total domination. Your starters are out by halftime. I don't even know how many guys Josh Heupel played on Saturday. But do you feel any different about this team, or do you pretty much feel exactly the way you did going into it?
I mean, I feel exactly the way I did going into it. Didn't learn much of anything, to be honest. Didn't think we would. I mean, it's excited about Nico. Like I wouldn't have predicted that Nico goes out and sets the Tennessee passing record in one half of play, but I expected Nico to go out there and look awesome. So nothing that Nico did, made me say, "Oh man, this Nico guy, I think he's going to be good." Nothing about Tennessee's run game makes me think, "Oh wow, I had a question about the run game," but then Dylan Sampson had a hat trick and 124 yards in the first half. Defense did whatever it wanted to. Sure, there wasn't a whole lot of sacks. There was only one takeaway, but UTC's game plan was to get rid of the football and just, not be aggressive on third downs whatsoever. And just, I mean, that's a playoff team at the FCS level. They're trying to keep their Chase Artapias quarterback up, standing up straight, and that's kind of what their game plan was. So it was great to see. There was a lot that I like. There was a lot of cool things to put on tape. I think Tennessee, I mean, that end around the Brew McCoy, who knows if Brew McCoy is going to touch the football in that way ever again. But you had a couple of empty sets. They did a lot of things to put on tape. So a lot of it was great to see, but nothing that I saw Saturday's changing my opinion of this team or anything. I thought Tennessee was going to go out there and do just that, and Tennessee handled business.
Cody Copeland for 10. We appreciate the super chat on this Monday morning. Says GBO, hate everyone asking where James Pierce was. He played 10 snaps and dominated those, including one causing a delay of game because quarterback was trying to slide protection and the running back to his side. We talked a lot about that in the post-game show. And, you talking about the cut blocks and them Chattanooga trying to get the ball out quick. When your defensive line is so good, and I know we're talking about Chattanooga. We have to say that every show. Every time you make a statement, you have to say we're talking about Chattanooga. But if you can control another team, if their game plan is because your defensive line is so dominant, that's advantage Tennessee every single week. We're going to talk about Nico, obviously. Everybody's talking about Nico. I got a video coming out later today where everybody in the national media is breaking down film and talking about Nico, whereas you and I, we've been talking about Nico for a long time, right? But I think people are finally starting to see it and go, oh, this guy is actually good. One of the guys, I can't remember who it was in the national media, said, I think Tennessee found a diamond in the rough. When you're the number one overall player in the country, are you really a diamond in the rough, or are you just a diamond? Come on, what are we talking about?
I saw some tweet, and I forgot who it was from, but I think they were being facetious. I think they were just kidding around because obviously Nico is the most hyped guy in the last couple of years. But to your point, I mean, you had Aaron Murray out there. You had David Pollock out there. You had Cole Kublik out there. I mean, we had Peter Burns on the Rocky Top Rewind last night. I mean, everybody's gushing over Nico. And again, like you said, it's UTC. It's Chattanooga. Disclaimer. But, man, he was throwing that football into some pockets. Now, the post that he threw to Chris Brazel, gorgeous throw, okay? The pocket that he threw into to Holden Stays didn't make the catch, but that was a great throw. I'm not sure he's going to attempt those throws against, Alabama's linebackers and defensive backs or Florida's, because those windows are going to be that much tighter and they're going to close quicker because those defensive backs are better players. But I mean, the fact that he was fitting that football in those windows was incredible. And that play to Brazel set up the touchdown to Thornton. And then Thornton down the far sideline, Nico just hits him in stride. Just a dime, a beautiful throw, setting up, I believe that was the field goal drive. Nico was great. He was awesome. And everyone should be gushing about him. I'm excited to see what he looks like this week. I just want to see him play more football. I mean, from play number 1, Boogie, he got flushed out of the pocket. Things didn't go as planned. Kept his eyes downfield. Threw a pass, moved the chains. That was not a part of the offense last year because it just wasn't in the skill set of Joe Milton. So the offense looked different. The offense was fun to watch. Nico was freaking awesome.
I was just watching right before we went live, Aaron Murray break down the game, and he was breaking down that first play of the game. And on TV, it looks like, okay, well, he gets flushed out of the pocket. What really happened here? But when you've got the overhead view and you can see everything, and I forget which tight end, I think it might have been Holden Stace was in there. Nico wanted Holden Stace to go out.
Kitzelman.
Kitzelman went in. So then he gets flushed, and then, again, just the legs, the eyes downfield all the time, always looking to make a play. I think it was good to get that confirmation, right? We can talk about Nico to death. We can say he's the number 1 player in the country. Coach Jay's been preaching on this channel since the day we started recruiting Nico because he's been around it. He's been close to it. But even as much as I trust Coach Jay and watching all the stuff that Nico's high school coach said about him, a guy that's been around some elite quarterbacks. He's been around Bryce. He's been around Nico. He knows what it looks like. But you still got to see it, right? You still got to see it at the next level. And we got a taste in the bowl game, but then we actually saw what this offense is going to be. We talked a lot last week about how we hoped and we expected to see Nico attack the middle of the field. We heard Josh Heupel say this playbook is wide open. We saw the splash plays. I think it was 8 plays over 20 yards. We saw that. Brent Hubbs wrote about it over on VolQuest. Shout out Hubbs. By the way, I was watching the Rocky Top Rewind, and I was laughing because Hubbs brought up that he didn't have on a VolQuest shirt. Well, I'm sitting on here on Talkin VAWLS last night wearing a VolQuest shirt. Everybody else on the panel has on a Talkin VAWLS shirt, so I had Hubbs back last night. But his article that came out after the game that Nico was 10 for 10 over the middle, 3 touchdowns. We saw this playbook wide open, and it was Chattanooga.
So can I share my screen? Yeah, I think I can. Okay, check this out. This is the spray chart for Nico right here, okay? You see this blue line right here is the line of scrimmage. So, these 4 for 4 back here, those are like Utah passes and like screen passes. Nico, between the hashes here, was a perfect 10 for 10 beyond the line of scrimmage. 10 for 10 for what? Math is bad. I mean, well over 100 yards between the hash marks here. I mean, that's a third of the field that Tennessee just didn't use last year. And I mean, you saw it with Brew McCoy, down to the 5-yard line. Of course, the one to Brazel, then the Thornton. He just continued to work the middle of the field, and that's something that we saw a lot in 2022. We didn't see an awful lot last year. So again, Chattanooga, get all that. I'm intrigued to see what Nico looks like against Power 5 competition in NC State this week. Like you said, we got a taste of it in the bowl game and all that. But the fact that they're going to use the middle of the field, and I do think that throwing to the running back out of the backfield is going to be something in this offense. Not an awful lot, but you've got so many weapons down there in Thornton and Brazel and Squirrel and Brew, and D. Sampson can slip out here and go pick up a first down. I just think there's so many different options and avenues for this offense with Nico, and you saw a little bit of a taste of it. But no, 10 for 10, middle of the field, that was such a welcome sight for Tennessee fans because that's something we didn't see a lot last year.
Noah James for 2 says the one time he stepped back, he got destroyed at GBO, talking about the Chattanooga quarterback. Even Heupel mentioned it post-game, saying, he started to take some deeper drops later in the game, and that's when we really started to get after him a little bit more. I like seeing Tyree West get after it. Of course, I'm patting myself on the back, laughing with Jordan Ross making a play late in the game. Just love to see it, man. Guys that put in the work, true freshmen getting out there making plays inside.
Hey, I had people a couple people were like, oh man, that Dante Thornton pick for Cain are looking good. I'm like, heck yeah, I've been waiting for that for 2 years. And then when Jordan Ross did his thing, which he flashed, he made a stop on third down in the fourth quarter, looked really, really good. I don't think it was the same drive where he blocked the punt, but he flashed on defense. And then of course, whenever he did that thing on special teams, everybody's saying, oh, Boogie needs to give him hell. I'm like, what? Hey, my guy did well too. Hey, it don't matter. In a 69-3 game, you love to see that. And Jordan Ross is going to be a stud, and I hope that he continues to work and kind of has a little bit of that Caleb Herring role last year where it wasn't an awful lot, don't get me wrong, but you still got to see him a little bit. And I just think, I mean, of course, Pierce is going to be gone after this year. Jordan Ross is going to be so good. But, that was awesome. That was not a punt block. He just came off the edge, and I'm not sure that UTC had 11 men on the field, but he made him pay, made an athletic play, picking that up on the bounce. But that was really, really cool to see. And a way to end it, too. You got to, of course, you didn't score on defense, but you did your thing on offense, you did your thing on defense, and then you got an exclamation point there at the end on special teams.
I like to see it. Caleb Herring put a hit on the quarterback, too, had a good pressure in the game. Caleb Herring, he looks good. He looks the part, man. I think he has an opportunity this year and next year once James Pierce is gone. But, you talk about eating crow, and I kind of doubled down on Dante Thornton, too, but you see all the heights from Chris Brazel, and it's like, man, he's going to be really good. Both of those guys look good. But a guy that I had to eat crow on, and I'll eat crow all day long because I want to see it. Tennessee went out and ran the ball for over 300 yards. That's no surprise. Averaged over 6 yards a carry. Deshaun Bishop, 5 carries, 60 yards, and a touchdown. Looked good. He looked good, and I needed to see it, right? Josh Heupel, he's Mr. Scrimmage. After every scrimmage, the first name out of Heupel's mouth, Deshaun Bishop had a great scrimmage. I bet he did, Coach. I bet he did. But can he do it when it counts? And again, we know it's Chattanooga, but the run he had, the touchdown run where he showed so much patience, and he almost stopped to let the block set up. Then he got north and south, went and scored. I was impressed with Deshaun Bishop, and obviously Dylan Sampson is exactly who we knew he was going to be.
Dylan Sampson looked like a dude that hadn't ran in a month and was just so rested and so energized and so ready to go. So Deshaun Bishop, obviously, I with Rivalry Thursday here, I've called probably 7, 8, 9 of his high school games throughout the course of the last couple of years, and so I know I've seen him run a lot, and I know the kind of runner that he is, and I'm not obviously comparing him to one of a really, really good running back here the last couple of years. I know he fell off at the end, but Le'Veon Bell, his style, how he gets the football and he waits and he's patient, he lets things materialize in front of him, then he picks his hole, then he shoots through it, then he goes, and he's not the fastest, but he's quick, and he's got that breakaway speed there at the end, because he's so patient and letting things develop. That's kind of Deshaun Bishop's game a little bit. He's very much like that. He's never going to be the fastest. He's never going to be the biggest, but he's a guy that the coaching staff trusts, and he's back there. He's the number 2 returner for Cam Seldon all year long. That's going to be good, hopefully, and I think they trust him in pass protection. I think they trust him to throw the football to him. So, right now it is Sampson, Seldon, then it's Deshaun Bishop. Peyton Lewis is going to be great. He's playing catch-up right now, and that's okay. I mean, he missed all of fall or all of spring, and he's just a true freshman. But, yeah, I was really happy to see Deshaun Bishop, too. I'm intrigued to see what his workload looks like against NC State. I would imagine he's not going to be getting any second quarter carries, but I do think he's that third option. It was good to see. Good for him.
I like, you brought up the pass protection, and Heupel specifically mentioned that. I think it was game week. I think it was last Monday, his press conference going into it, saying that they trust Deshaun Bishop with pass protection. That's huge, man, to be a true freshman and get that kind of praise, and then also just having that confidence in him, man. Again, a true freshman that can go out there, and you talk about his patience. And
we talk about Bishop.
That's not something you hear about a freshman, is they are good in pass protection and they show a lot of patience.
It feels like he's a true freshman because, of course, he was hurt all last year. He's technically, I guess he'd be a redshirt freshman, but he didn't get any, he didn't camp last year, but then, he got hurt and he was out. He didn't get any work at all last year. So it does feel like he's a true freshman because you hadn't seen him play at all, but I guess technically he's a second-year player. So he at least knows the scheme and everything. He's repped it a little bit, but either way, he's a young player, and getting him in there and getting him able to pass protect, because we know about the ride that it was for Dylan Sampson his freshman year.
Let's see. We got a super chat from Cody Copeland for 5. As good as our offense looked, our defense is being overlooked. UTC offense had vets and we shut them down. When is the last time we had that in an opener? You gave up 3 points. And I yell at people sometimes. I've been yelling at people that said the defensive line didn't play good. When you hold, I don't care if it's Chattanooga, you held them to 2 yards per carry and you gave up 3 points. I mean, what more do you want from this defense? I think Jermod McCoy looks good. I think the secondary is going to look better when Ricky Gibson's back. I mean, I think Boo Carter, yes, he's a freshman, but does he not look good blitzing off the edge from that star position? He is fast. He is athletic. I talked a lot about Will Brooks going into this game. What are your thoughts on Will Brooks versus Jacoby Thomas? I think Jacoby Thomas, what is it? Why is Jacoby? Obviously, they went and got him in the portal. And you kind of question, is he ready to make that jump from MTSU to the SEC? But when he was in, he's just more athletic. So is it a lack of trust? What is it going to take for Jacoby Thomas to get on the field?
Well, right now, I think the coaching staff does trust Will Brooks, obviously. I'm intrigued to see what Jacoby Thomas looks like against, obviously, NC State, and then, of course, in SEC play. You know, UTC was kind of his arena last year, right? I mean, that was not technically the level of competition, but that was kind of his ballpark, and he did so well on Saturday. I mean, he flashed. I mean, there was literally, we say the word flash a lot. I mean, I was just sitting up there in that press box watching. I just saw a guy go zoom, and I'm like, whoa, that literally looked like a flash. That was Jacoby Thomas coming up and playing run support. He had a good week, and I'm excited to see him continue to rotate in. They've got to play those three guys. Moving forward, it's got to be a three-man rotation in the backfield. I think they have to play those three guys, number one, so they're not tired. Number two, until we see those guys create some separation. I think they all did fine against UCC. I think there was one drive that was the field goal drive for UTC to begin the second half. Andre Turntime missed 2 tackles on that drive. Will Brooks was slow in man coverage, allowing a first down reception. Outside of that, I think they did what they were supposed to. We said earlier that, did you learn anything you didn't already know? No. In terms of the secondary, I thought Jermon McCoy was going to look good. I knew I knew Boo Carter was going to flash a little bit, make some plays. I learned absolutely nothing about those safeties. I learned nothing about those. Will Brooks, I thought, came downhill and played run support really, really well, but I've seen him do that before. That would be probably a strength of his game, whereas a weakness is playing out in space and covering a receiver over the top. So, yeah, I mean, Jacoby Thomas, he might start this week. I don't know, but he will play no matter what. I think all three of those guys will continue to play, and even if two of those guys create separation from the third, I still think that third's going to be playing, if healthy, all year long. And that's kind of the hope after they wouldn't rotate anybody the last 3 years.
I like Jacoby Thomas when he broke up that pass. And again, you talking about him looking like a flash. That's the way I thought he looked on that play. Yep. And we kind of talked about it last night on our fan call-in show, and somebody brought up maybe he's too aggressive, and that's why this coaching staff trusts Will Brooks. Yes, he may not be great in coverage, but he's not going to get beat over the top. He's not going to give up the big play, whereas Jacoby Thomas is he's so aggressive. But I seem to remember Tim Banks saying, we're going to play an aggressive style of defense around here. And when you've got an offense that's capable of being the number one offense in the country, I like an aggressive defense. Try to force turnovers. But we'll see how the secondary – I don't think the secondary is going to be as bad as some of the people in the national media act and talk about this Tennessee secondary.
On that secondary note, just let me throw it back to you here. We know about the safeties. We talk about safeties all the time. I think Tennessee's depth at corner – is not deep. I mean, last year, sure, I think your top end talent's so much better this year, but like last year, you had like 4 or 5 corners who have played, who you're like, okay, well, these guys know exactly what the third Saturday in October is all about, right? They know what going down to Georgia's like. They play, this year you don't have that, but you have better players overall, and Gibson and McCoy, in my opinion. I think McMurray's going to be fine. Outside of those three, man, Jordan Matthews, I think, got a lot of valuable reps, and I do think that he got better as the game went on. I still think he's got a ways to go. Caleb Beasley, made a lot of mistakes, but he's a true freshman. He'll get better. There's not a lot of depth at cornerback, and that's something where I'm just like, man, I just keep expecting to see more guys go in there at cornerback, and they didn't really have it. So, again, I knew that going into that game, that depth at corner was kind of a question. Seeing it play out on Saturday in a 69-3 game, I guess it kind of hit me in the face like, oh, man, they really don't have a whole lot of numbers there at corner. I think if something were to happen big time at corner, I could see maybe Boo Carter going to corner, giving a look, and if there's a healthy Christian Harrison. I guess just like at safety and obviously at quarterback, those 3 corners, you need them to stay healthy in the big way.
And that's what scares me about this team. Let me hit this real quick. Tony Canada for 2, nothing to say, just a tip in the tip jar. We appreciate that, Tony. Thank you for the super chat. But that's what scares me about this team, is because at corner, like you said, behind your starting to something happens to Jermon McCoy and Ricky Gibson, you're looking at Jalen McMurray and Jordan Matthews. Your confidence level drops way off there. The offensive line. This offensive line is a veteran. Think back to when it was one after the other. Boom, boom, boom. I'm coming back for an extra year. I'm coming back for one last ride. I'm coming back. Getting Cooper to come back for a COVID year. Absolutely huge. But even Spraggs and Campbell and just a veteran offensive line. But then again, you start looking what happens if Coop goes down. And yes, it was good. Like you said earlier, seeing William Satterwhite get some work. We're trying to see who's that center going to be next year. Seems like Cooper Mays is a 35-year-old grizzled veteran. Like, I think he's going to retire from the NFL before he stops playing college football.
He's like the Jason Kelsey of college football.
He's been there forever. Like, I think you all were talking about it on one of the VolQuest shows that he's been here the entire time that Josh Heupel's been here. And like, that's a huge asset to this coaching staff. But he goes down. You're leaning on a freshman, and William Satterwhite, Lance Hurd. We saw what happened when Larry Johnson was out there protecting Nico's blind side. Everybody in that stadium gasped. So that's what scares me about this team. We got a lot of depth on the defensive line, got a ton of depth at wide receiver, got some depth at the linebacker position. We got some places that we still need to continue to build that SEC depth.
And I'll say this too. I mean, like, we're nitpicking here, right? I mean, our job is to know everything about Tennessee football, and I feel like we know everything. Not everything, but we know a lot about Tennessee football, right? Every team in America is like, oh man, but if your right tackle goes down, I don't know what we're gonna do. Every team in America is like, man, the third corner, I don't feel very great. Again, this is why the transfer portal exists. You got guys like Lance Hurd, who was just an amazing backup to 2 NFL tackles at LSU. He's like, okay, I get it, I'm not gonna play, but I want to play. Let me go somewhere else where I can play. I mean, that's what every team in America is kind of dealing with right now. So even Tennessee at corner, right? I mean, some of those guys that weren't going to play, they left via the transfer portal. So yeah, sure, there's places where you don't feel good if something were to happen depth-wise, but it's not just an anomaly here in Knoxville. I mean, I feel like that's the case nationwide. So I don't know if that makes anybody feel better, but that's just kind of how it is. I mean, Georgia probably has, depth that you feel great about at every position, but most teams across the country have questions, just like Tennessee.
Yeah, like it's the Nico conversation, right? Like, I saw people on the general's quarters full on meltdown when Nico got hit low, and it's like, well, if our quarterback goes down, we're toast. Yeah, most teams, if their 5-star number 1 player in the country quarterback goes down, you're probably not going to be as good as you would have with him. Look, we got over 325 people watching on this Labor Day morning. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you smash the thumbs up, share out the link, all that good stuff. Go check out what Cain's got going on over at Locked On Vols. As always, go check out volquest.com as well. I titled the video, "The Season Starts Now." We knew Chattanooga was a glorified scrimmage. NC State is going to up the ante, a little bit more competition, but a lot of people are devaluing NC State. I've devalued them all offseason. I've said Tennessee takes care of business by 2 scores, but they see them go out there and struggle against Western Carolina. Now all of a sudden people think Tennessee's going to go out and hang 60 on NC State. Have you started your deep dive yet? Tennessee favored by 6.5. ESPN FPI. I don't know how much value you put on that. I love it. I love the ESPN FPI. 88% chance that Tennessee wins. Have you started your deep dive? What do you think we're going to see on Saturday?
First off, Seth's wanting to know if that's a Carson Newman helmet. That is a Carson Newman helmet, yes, sir. I started my prep here. You can't read it because my handwriting's so bad. But yeah, obviously Rivalry Thursday the other night, so me and AP had it up on a phone, but we weren't watching it every single play because we were trying to call a game. Watched a little bit of it, and that's why it's like, it's Chattanooga. Well, I mean, sometimes it doesn't go according to plan. Austin P last year. I mean, you walked away from New England Stadium like, ugh.
Let me tell you my biggest selling point, and I've said it every time I've been in front of a camera since the game. Most passing yards ever and a half by any Tennessee quarterback. Did Peyton Manning ever play a team like Chattanooga? Yeah, pretty sure he did. Heath Schuler ever play a team? Yep, Heath Schuler did too. Any quarterback, Condrich Holloway ever play a bad team? Yep, he did. Every elite quarterback, Casey Clausen. Can we call Eric Ainge? Can we call your buddy Eric Ainge elite? I'm going to call him elite. I've got an autographed Eric Ainge jersey hanging right here. Here.
He had an elite season, that's for sure.
But anyway, lot of good quarterbacks have rolled through Tennessee. Nico, in his first start inside of Neyland Stadium, set the record for passing yards and a half. Go ahead.
And so, I mean, again, like, sometimes it doesn't go according to plan. You saw that the case of NC State the other night against Western Carolina. So Tennessee, I've said the last month, I think Tennessee wins this by 2 scores. I'm not backing down that. Obviously, nothing that I saw on Thursday night is going to make me say, well, let me change my pick here. I think Tennessee should control that game. NC State's not going to be horrible. NC State's not going to be bad. I think they're going to give Tennessee a solid fight, going to be a solid challenge. Grayson McCall, he threw a pick, but he completed 26 passes, over 300 yards. Jordan Waters, the running back, who is a 6th-year guy coming over from Duke, he was the workhorse. They gave it to him 20 times. They've got some weapons. Justin Jolly, he came back in, right? He got hurt. Did he come back in?
I didn't see that. I had the game on, but I didn't even see that he got hurt.
Well, we remember him. He's the UConn tight
Right.
end. Now you got Noah Rogers. Of course, that wide receiver is incredible. Concepcion or whatever had over 120 yards. They have weapons offensively. They lost a lot defensively, and I think Tennessee can exploit that in a big way. But defense is kind of where they hung their hat on. But my point is, start of the prep, NC State's going to be a solid team. I do not think that just because they didn't look great on Thursday that Tennessee's going to go out here and win by 50. They might. But I think it's going to be a challenge. But ultimately, nothing changes my opinion. I think Tennessee wins this by 2 scores, and I think it's going to be a fun night in Charlotte with the Big Orange faithful traveling and filling up that stadium.
I think Tennessee takes care of business too, and I think just like we talked about in 22, and I said it before the season started, I think week by week the stakes get higher, and Tennessee has a shot to go do something. Did we learn much? No, but I think we got a little confirmation that Nico is as good as advertised, and this offense is going to look different in 2024. Better or worse than 2022? We'll find out. I think they're going to be pretty dang good. It's always a good time talking little ball. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you're right, man. You had a video last week saying new offense for Tennessee. Nico was 10 for 10 middle of the field. That's new to me. So you were correct. That confirmation right there for you.
A little pat on the back. I like when I don't have to do it myself. I like when other people tell me how great I am and how wonderful I am.
Best, right?
Best in the business. Not really. Anyway, it's always a good time talking ball with Cainer. Again, go check out what he's got going on. What'd you drop this morning on Locked On Vols?
Yeah, I had a postcast show late Saturday night. Had some more notes, went back, heard the scoring plays courtesy of the Vol Radio Network, gave out some Cainer grades, game balls, just more and more talk, more and more review of Tennessee's big win over Chattanooga. Somebody in the chat earlier, one of my thoughts on Florida, thinking if Florida could go 2-10. I don't think it'll be that bad, but boy, they needed that win in the worst way. Billy's going to have a tough time surviving. I don't think it's going to be a good year at all. No surprises there. But anyway, lots of stuff over on Locked On Vols every single morning when you wake up. And, of course, over at VolQuest.com, getting you set for Tennessee and NC State.
Always a good time. I'll be over on Locked On Vols for the Friday morning show, so make sure you guys check that as well. Cainer, it's always a good time. We'll catch up later this week, buddy.
Thanks, man.
All right, we're going to keep this thing rolling. Let me catch back up with you guys. Andrew West has been a member for 14 months. That's over a year of support. We appreciate that, Andrew. Think about hitting that join button. It's $1. It's $1 a month. You get custom Talkin Vols emojis, access to the fan call-in show. Last night, absolute blast, man. I love letting you guys come on, drive the show, voicing opinions, even though sometimes I have to yell at somebody. Sometimes I have to yell at Tom and tell him, Tom, you're being too negative. I can't allow that on my show. I can't allow you to be negative, and I have to yell at Tom. But Tom's like, okay, Boogie, I'm sorry. He apologized. He said I was wrong. I don't know that he really said that, but I love letting you guys come on here and voice your opinions, even when we disagree. That's part of the fun. Andrew West has been a member for 14 months. It says, GBO, this team looks like a national championship contender. I'm going to drop a video. As soon as we get done with this stream, I'm going to start working on it and trying to put together some of the different narratives that are out there right now in the national media, particularly when it comes to Nico, and look at some of the plays that they're talking about and look at what they're saying. Aaron Murray is one of those guys I'm going to be talking about, and he said that this team looks like an SEC championship contender. They look like a college football playoff team if Nico continues to play the way that he played on Saturday. And we get it. It's Chattanooga, but who cares? You know, I love what Brent Hubbs said about those are routes on air numbers. Those are numbers that you should put up if you go out there and there's no defense even on the field. So I don't care that it was Chattanooga. The throws that Nico made, it doesn't matter who it is. And like Cainer said, maybe he doesn't try to fit some of those windows into the ball into some of those tight windows against a team like an Alabama or a Georgia. But we saw what Nico could do. You know, you go back to the bowl game and it's like, man, three rushing touchdowns, 100% in the red zone. But some people weren't sold on his arm talent in that bowl game. But I think after the Chattanooga game, I think everybody is buying in. I think everybody is sold on what Nico brings to the table, his pocket awareness, his command of the offense, his communication, seeing him come to the sideline. And if there's some miscommunication, he's not scared. He is a leader. He may be a redshirt freshman, but he is the leader. This is his football team, and he is the leader of this team. I think people are starting to buy in and believe in what Coach Jay has been selling us for over 2 years now. Bobby J. Heupel for 2. Appreciate the super chat. Says, as my dad says, it feels good to feel good. It feels good to wake up on Labor Day morning, on a Monday morning, pour a cup of coffee, and get on here and have a lot of positive things to talk about. There's not a whole lot of negatives to take away from that game over Chattanooga. Melanie Simmons been a member for 11 months. We appreciate that support. She says Nico was throwing lasers. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it in the video coming up later today. We're gonna look at some of the national media and what they think. You guys that have been around for a while, you know what I do on these Monday morning shows. We hang out, we talk some ball with Cain, and then we go take a listen to what Josh Heupel had to say immediately following the game. Now, I don't listen to it. I see some of the clips. I see people sharing stuff on Twitter, but I don't actually watch the post-game press conference because I like to sit down and take it in on Monday morning and kind of bounce some things off of you guys. You guys know what to do. You want to change the direction. You got something you want to talk about over here in the chat. Sean Cross dropped a $2 super chat. He just wants to say good morning. We appreciate it, Sean. Thank you for the super chat. We'll see you tomorrow night at 6:30. Tony Canada gifted a Talkin VAWLS membership. That's very generous. We appreciate it. Scotty Key got that free membership. Shout out Tony Canada. We appreciate it. We're on that membership drive, man. We're trying to hit a goal. Around here. Tim Rice been a member for 18 months. We appreciate that support. All right, let's get into it. You guys want something to talk about? You want to derail the show? Feel free to derail the show. Want to talk about whatever you guys want to get into. But I'm going to take a listen here to the post-game press conference. Now, I did get a spoiler alert. I don't see Culberson in the chat, but Culberson messaged me and said, man, did you see his post-game press conference? He was pissed. And I said, no. I did not. So let's take a listen and see if Coach Heupel really is pissed. Let's take a listen.
Coach, first of all, just thank all the fans. Hot day out there. They showed up early. Ball walk was electric. Stadium was juicy right from the beginning. Appreciate all of them coming out. It's been a long time since we've been in there, so great to see them back again. Like a lot of the things that we did, all three phases of the game, defensively, thought just line of scrimmage, did a really nice job, played good third down defense, tight coverage for most of it. And so really a lot of positives on that side of the football. Offensively, did some really good things early. We got to learn how to stay dialed in and finish a half, a quarter, the football game. But all in all, good day. And obviously, specialists did a really, really good job for most of the day. So
I hope he talks about his offensive line so I can yell at Tom some more. That would be hilarious. Tom, I'd be pissed too if my offensive line played so poorly. I don't know how much you guys play into the PFF grades, but the PFF grades came out for the Chattanooga game. Cooper Mays graded out at a 79.4. By the way, the best player for Tennessee, Dylan Sampson, graded out at an 89.7. Nico, 87.3. Dante Thornton, 85.2. Just to give you an idea what the grades look like, because I think we can all agree Dylan Sampson, Nico, Dante played pretty good. They graded out mid to high 80s. Cooper Mays, our center, graded out at a 79.4. Andres Carrick, our left guard, a 73.6. Javontes Spraggins, a 72.2. Larry Johnson, 67.9. Lance Hurd, 65.9. John Campbell, 64.4. So I don't know that the entire offensive line was as bad as you think, Tom. Maybe you're just an old, bitter, angry offensive line coach and you're never happy. Maybe you were the Coach Garner. Maybe you're the Coach Garner of offensive line coaches. Scotty Cunningham becomes a member of the channel. We appreciate you, Scotty. Keep those memberships coming in. Just $1. $1 a month is all it takes. You keep the lights on around here. I say it all the time, but it's the truth. Ad revenue on YouTube is garbage. The way that I get to come on here and do these Monday morning shows, do the Friday morning shows, add the content, the videos, everything. The reason I get to do that is because of you members. So when I say I'm grateful, know that I'm grateful and I'm appreciative of every single one of you guys that supports the channel via memberships. Ad revenue is so bad that I just play money for nothing from dire straits and completely remove all ad revenue from the video and rely on you guys. For the fans, by the fans, also fan funded. They can keep their ad revenue, and I would rather just jam some good 80s tunes from Dire Straits to open up the show. That's how bad it is. But let's hear some more here from Josh Heupel. Let's see if he's mad at his offensive line.
open it up.
Questions will start with Austin on the left.
Josh, you talked all fall camp about rotating, and you guys from the start just almost felt like it seemed like a different rotation of guys almost every series. How good was that to see and just kind of see how those guys responded to the rotation?
Yeah, I know someone in here gave me a hard time for all the oars that we put on the depth chart, but we're going to play more guys than we have. Our roster's deeper. We got an opportunity to. We're going to need those guys as we go throughout the course of the season. think we had 35 guys that was their first time playing inside of Neil Sane playing today. So there's a lot of positives. There's going to be a lot of little things that we got to clean up, but it was a good start, and obviously we got a big one next week.
Adam,
It's funny talking about rotating guys, and I love what Coach Jay said last night, bringing up fan service. Like, Josh Heupel is not here for fan service. He's not here to make us smile a little bit more on Sunday morning when we wake up after a game. He's not here to put up PlayStation numbers. He's not here to try to win a Heisman with James Pierce. He's here to win football games and have his team prepared for the run, for the gauntlet of the SEC, and for James Pierce to only have to go out and play 10 snaps. You don't think James Pierce is feeling pretty dang fresh on Monday morning, getting ready to go into practice week for NC State? You don't think James Pierce is going to have a little bit more pep in his step? Maybe even James Pierce is a little bit more angry because he didn't get a hit as many people as he wanted to hit on Saturday. It's so funny. Coach Garner, if you go back and watch the game, after 2 plays, he rotates the entire defensive line. 2 plays into the game, he pulls the entire defensive line. All 4 guys get rotated out. You go look at the PFF grades, and you can see the number of snaps that guys played. Tyree West only played 16 snaps. You don't think he's going to be a little bit more fresh? Omari Thomas played 15 snaps. You go down, Joshua Josephs, 15 snaps. Omar Norman Lott, 14 snaps. Elijah Simmons, 14 snaps. And then James Pierce, 10. He played 10 snaps. I think Coach Heupel and Coach Garner just shortened this football season by a week for their defensive line. They flushed a game down the toilet. Now, some of these guys, like Caleb Beasley, some of these young guys need some run. They need some work. They need in-game reps, and they're not guys that you're going to have to count on in the NC State game. So it played out picture perfect for Josh Heupel and this coaching staff. Nobody got hurt. This team is fresh going into an NC State game that's going to up the ante. A little bit more competition. Give me the Vols by 2 scores, but it's a little bit more competition going into Saturday. A couple of more members. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Johnny Wilson hits that join button and becomes a member of the channel. We appreciate you, Johnny. Brent Steeman also becomes a member of the channel. Shout out, Brent. Thank you for the support. It means a lot, guys. Again, don't get to do this without you, so I appreciate that support.
Ben?
Josh, it looked like Nico did almost nothing wrong. Did you see anything that he did wrong, and what are you going to tell him going into week 2?
Your perspective might be a little bit different than my perspective.
Let's rewind it and listen to that question again.
We're going to need those guys as we go throughout the course of the season. I think we had 35 guys that was their first time playing.
Did you see anything?
So I don't know who this guy is. I feel like I hear his voice every week, and he asks the most ridiculous questions. He asked if Nico made any mistakes. Did Nico make any mistakes? Of course he made mistakes. Nobody goes out there and plays a perfect game week in and week out. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't know who asked the question, but you can see Heupel's reaction. He's like, how stupid are you? Like, what a question. And Heupel, like, just almost snickering at it. Asked if Nico made any mistakes.
Thing that he did wrong, and what are you going to tell him going into week 2?
Your perspective might be a little bit different than my perspective. So, but he knows those things too. So he's a young player, came out, played really efficiently, effectively, made plays down the field. But there's some things that he can control and be better. And he knows that, and he wants that too.
Coach Jay sent me this clip. He clipped it out and sent it to me, and I laughed because it's funny. It's funny to see Heupel react and say, what you see and what I see are 2 completely different things. But I also love that Nico and Heupel, they want perfection. Was Nico great? Nico was fantastic. Was he perfect? No. And that's what they are striving for. They're striving for perfection. Rocky's out, Tom, for 5. Dropped a $5 super chat. Say yes. YouTube finally let me super chat. Tip jar. Appreciate you, Tom. See, I yelled at Tom last night. I yelled at him. I almost kicked him off the show forever. And he still shows up here today to support me. I love Tom. I appreciate Tom. I appreciate him letting me yell at him a little bit. All right, let's hear more.
Dante's performance today.
today, was that reflective of the offseason that he had and what did allow him to have success today?
Yeah, last year with the reduction of scholarships, which in general I haven't made a big deal about, from the time that we got here, but you end up having to be you got to make decisions on where you're going to take those, and most of the time we've taken them on offensive skill guys because you can control your personnel groupings. Dante started inside because we were real thin last year. He moved outside middle of the season. He was starting to play his best football, most comfortable, gets injured, on the long play. Being healthy all off season, being at home on the outside, he's just continued to be extremely comfortable in what we're doing offensively and has played really consistent.
How good was Dante Thornton, and how much better can he be? And you can't talk about Nico without talking about Joe Milton. You just can't, because when you compare the offense this year to what the offense looked like last year, there's a reason it looks different, and you have to, I get it. One of you guys left a comment on a video and said, man, can we please stop talking about Joe Milton? He gave us all. He's a VFL. He did, and he is. But when you're talking about Nico and what he brings to the table, it makes you look back to last year. And when Nico hits a guy in stride, and that's the beautiful thing. How many guys did he hit in stride? Down the outside sideline, across the middle. Dante Thornton, just ball placement. It's him hitting guys in stride is only going to make these wide receivers better. We didn't see a single drop. You could maybe argue that Caleb Webb had a drop. It was a low throw. But how good is Dante Thornton? And I think, let me go look. I think Dante Thornton, 17 snaps. He only played 17 snaps, had 3 catches for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. Brew McCoy, 6 catches, 89 yards. Chris Brazel, 5 catches for 59 yards. They made Squirrel White feel like an afterthought. Squirrel White only had 2 catches for 22 yards. I like the play that Squirrel White made in the special teams game, in the return game on the punt return. I think Squirrel looks good back there returning punts. But the beautiful thing is how many weapons that Nico has around him. I think it could be one of those days or one of those seasons where one week we're talking about how Dante Thornton balled out and he was the best wide receiver on the team that day. And then I think NC State coming up on Saturday. I think Saturday night, we may be talking about Squirrel White coming out of that game. We may be talking about Brew McCoy coming out of that game. I think there are so many weapons around Nico that every single week we could be talking about somebody else because, I think Coach Jay said it in the postgame show that he loved the way that Nico spreads the ball around, and he really did that, right? He did. When you go look at the stats, Thornton 3, Brew McCoy 6, Chris Brazel 5, Squirrel White 2, Ethan Davis 2, Caleb Webb 2. He spread the football around, getting Dylan Sampson involved in the passing game. I think that's another dynamic that's going to make this offense even better. You're having to cover sideline to sideline, wide splits. We're getting the numbers advantage. Good luck. Good luck stopping this offense. It's going to be better than 22. I'm saying it now. I said it before. I had the confidence because I sat here and listened to Coach Jay all off season long, and you guys only see part of it. The guy watches the game 72 times a week. And every week last year, every week he would send me screen capture after screen capture after screen capture of Joe missing wide receivers and telling me, Boogie, Nico is the future. Nico is him. I've seen it. Go watch this interview. Go watch that interview. So I did it. Somebody on VolQuest was like, man, one of the best videos Talkin VAWLS has ever put out is when they went back and went through what Coach Pearson had to say about Nico. And I think Coach Pearson, if you're not familiar with him, if you've not been around here throughout the offseason when we've been harping on this, Coach Pearson coached Bryce, and then he coached Nico. And he said Nico's going to be a number 1 overall draft pick. He said Nico's going to be a Heisman Trophy quarterback. He said Nico is the best quarterback he's ever coached. I think Bryce is pretty dang good. I think Bryce is a pretty good quarterback. And I think that Coach Pearson knows a little something about quarterbacks. I think he knows what he's looking at. I think he's coached enough football out there in California to know what he's talking about. So when Coach Pearson tells it to Coach Jay, and then I go research it for myself, and I hear the words come out of the man's mouth, but you still need to see it, right? You still have to see it. We all need to see it for ourselves. I can listen to Coach Pearson. I can listen to Coach Jay. And then I can get on here and flap my gums, and you guys are going, well, I can listen to Boogie, but until I see it myself, I'm not going to believe it. Now we've seen it against Chattanooga. Now we got to see it against NC State. And guess what? If he goes out and he balls out against NC State, then we're going to need to see it against Oklahoma. If he does it against Oklahoma, we're going to say, well, Oklahoma's not a legitimate SEC team. So then we're going to need to see it against Arkansas and Florida. And then that's not going to be good enough. Then we're going to have to see it against Alabama. And if he goes and beats Alabama and we roll into the Georgia game undefeated, then it's going to be, well, now we have to see it against Georgia. Because that's the way college football works, right? It's just like going to play Iowa in the bowl game. You go play Iowa in the bowl game. They're one of the top defenses in the country. Nico's going to be starting as a freshman. Is he ready for this? No, he's not. This defense is elite. We go out, we dominate 35-0. And then after the game, everybody says, well, Iowa wasn't really that good. Y'all just keep moving the goalpost. How in the world are we as Tennessee fans supposed to enjoy this when everybody just keeps moving the goalpost? But now the national media is taking notice. Now the national media is starting to agree with us that Nico is him and Tennessee is back, and Tennessee is an SEC championship contender. Tennessee is a national championship contender. And that's going to be the video that drops later today. I'm starting to sweat, boys, because I'm getting fired up on this Labor Day Monday morning. Let me catch back up with you guys. Chris Corley drops a $5 super chat. Nothing to say, just a tip in the tip jar. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Chris's super chat alone pretty much covered the ad revenue that YouTube would give me. It's a joke. Used to be really good around here. Ad revenue used to be great. Not anymore. I would rather play money for nothing and get you guys fired up on a Monday morning. Oh, Arkansas Ball says, you block all the haters, Boogie, and just tune in to Talkin VAWLS without Tom on. I just wait till I block Tom. Don't you love, it makes me laugh saying I block all the haters. Don't you love people that float around other channels? Boogie blocked me for no reason. Because that's what I do. I just go around blocking customers for no reason. I just go around and block people for no reason. Let's see here. District says, let's just go 12-0 and shut everyone up. I should probably block him for no reason. Do you think I do that? No, I block idiots and clowns. Because I want this to be the best community for Tennessee football. Yes, I like the subscriber count. Yes, we're on that chase for 30,000. But I would rather have 27,000 and get rid of the clowns and the idiots, and let's bring a community together that loves, breathes, eats, sleeps Tennessee football. Even if we disagree, like me and D did last night, or like me and Rocky Top Tom did last night. Let's disagree. Let's argue, but let's keep it civil. People don't keep it civil, I block them and move on, and I don't lose any sleep about it. I don't lose any sleep. None whatsoever. All right, let's hear more.
In the middle with David and Patrick.
That was a rant, man. I am sweating. We are laughing and we are sweating.
Josh, this was a 38-0 game, 20 minutes in. Does a team like this, can they stress you in any way? Did you learn anything about yourself in any adverse situations, or how do you kind of benefit?
Well, adverse on the scoreboard, no, but man, there's a lot of things that we'll be able to learn from during the course of this football game.
Josh, Dylan Simpson, I don't know how much work he got in preseason, but it didn't look like he was ready to go from the start. Got 8 touches the opening drive. What does that say about him, that he's able to maybe not get as much practice time as you guys would have liked, but he's able to hit the ground running and be as productive as he was?
Yeah, limited for a few days, but then got back in the rotation. He's been healthy for a while now. We expect him to play the way that he did today. Decisive, violent cuts. Got pad under pad, and obviously has the ability to do anything that you want a running back to do. When I say that, just the ability to play out in space and play like a wideout too. So love the performance from him today.
Karthik, then Rob.
Coach Dante Thornton, had a season-ending injury. He came back and played really well today. Brew McCoy, the same. Deshaun Fisher didn't even get to play in a game. He scores a touchdown. If you can speak individually on all those guys and their performances in game one.
Yeah, Cain and Peavy. We've had a few guys, unfortunately, in this game. The contact is real, and through their work, their effort, right? That's during the rehab process. Our weight room, guys building them back up, or our medical team. All those guys are in a great space and playing really good football. So today was a big day for those guys. Brew's the captain today, Cain and Peavy, because they are that type of leader in our program, but also understanding what they're coming back from.
Keenan Peavy, another guy, man. I can't wait to see what he does this year. But against Chattanooga, Keenan Peavy, 15 plays. Second highest graded player on defense, 82.8, behind Tyree West, who was at 88.3. Pat on the back for calling that one out. I just think Tyree West, man, he showed a little taste of it in the bowl game. He's putting in the work. I think he's going to be really, really good. Scotty, yeah, we were laughing about that last night, the Boo Carter video from the locker room. Yeah, we showed that on air last night. I had a good laugh about it. Absolutely hilarious. Looked like his daddy walked in and caught him doing something he shouldn't and got fussed at. He got a smack on the wrist. That was funny.
In preseason about operations and management abilities. Only had 6 today, especially the day we played so many guys. We're pleased with that.
All in all, yeah. We got to continue to grow in that way, but relatively efficient. Playing clean during the course of the game. There's some things that we got to be smarter with too that we'll learn from. Awesome, you guys giving me a break?
Wes.
No.
I know you talked about it just a little bit earlier, but I guess individually, just for Brew, the last time he was in this stadium in a game, we all kind of saw what happened. To come back today and do that, I mean, how big is that for him and for this football team?
Yeah, huge for him, his family. I know I saw them in the hotel last night. I know they were excited, anxious, nervous, all of it. And Brew was excited to go play. Great that, he got opportunities to get the ball in his hand, made plays, and played really well.
Coach, first time with Nico with the helmet communication. How do you think that went overall?
Like it has in our scrimmages. So thought he handled himself really well, effective communication. So went well.
To the back.
It's fun. Heupel doesn't want to be here. It kind of made me mad, man. Like one of my favorite things ever with Tennessee, man, like just Tennessee football has always been the coach's show. And they go through play by play, and the coach sits there and they say, something. They're not going to tell you everything, but they're telling you maybe what was supposed to happen or who missed an assignment or what went wrong or like miscommunication. I just felt like you could learn so much from the coach's show. And it feels like since Heupel arrived, he's done less and less and less with the Coach Heupel show. Yesterday's Coach Heupel show, he didn't talk about a single play. He sat down with Bob Kessling and talked in the grand scheme of things about the football game. I wasted an hour watching it. I wasted an entire hour watching it. He did not. They showed clips, and they showed them fast. And Coach Heupel provided no commentary on it, absolutely none. So yeah, I don't think he enjoys media appearances. Me and Coach Jay were talking behind the scenes about something going on, and saying that Heupel's not letting anything come out. He is not going to let you know anything that's going on, and that's hey. He's a competitor. If that gives him an edge, then so be it. Let him give us coach speak and dumb down answers. But still like to listen to it, see what he has to say post game. He just looks pissed right here. I mean, did you hear him earlier before the last question? He goes, "You guys going to let me out of here? Is that it? Are we done?"
How would you evaluate the overall defense and how they did? Tyree West finally getting home, getting that sack. How would you evaluate how they performed today?
I thought they played really well. I haven't looked at the numbers yet, but line of scrimmage, they dominated for the majority of the football game. Maybe gave up a couple, runs. And then I thought we played tight coverage on the back end. And, as they started to, drop back a little bit more, then we were able to apply some pressure and, get a sack. So.
I wish D was in the chat right now. I mean, I think when your head ball coach stands up there in front of the media and tells you that the defensive line played dominant all day, gave up a couple. Of course you gave up a couple, just like Nico. Nico's going to make some mistakes. The defensive line's going to give up some runs. It's football. It happens. You're never going to go out there and play flawless football. But overall, Heupel says his defensive line was dominant. Pretty sure they were dominant.
Josh, Tyree West had that really good bowl game in Orlando. It looked like he kind of picked up where he left off today. What was it that started to click for him? What's he doing well? And then can you speak on also the Sean Bishop?
Yeah, Tyree's been really consistent in how he approaches practice every single day. His understanding of our defense has really grown, right? So instead of thinking while you're playing, he's anticipating, reacting, and playing to his full athletic skill set. And proud of what he did today, but just his growth inside of the program.
David? You've probably been asked about Boo Carter as much as any freshman. Just curious your reaction to how he played in his first game.
So I played really well defensively. Did a nice job with the pressure off the edge, kept contained on it. Saw him back there, return punts. So I'm gonna go watch the tape here in a little bit too. But really pleased with him, and really a lot of our young guys. A lot of young guys got an opportunity to play, in particular in the secondary.
Coach, it's time for one more. Good. All right.
Thank you all.
That's it. Heupel gets to escape and go watch a little tape. Maybe he's going to go watch a little tape and come back and he'll be upset with his offensive line. Maybe he met with the media this morning and he said, you know what, Rocky Top Tom was right. I tuned into Talkin VAWLS for the post-game show. That's why I was trying to get out of there. He's like, I got to go watch Talkin VAWLS and see what Boogie and the gang are saying. And maybe he's like, Rocky Top Tom was right. Rocky Top Tom was right. We're gonna get after our offensive line. Look, almost an hour into this thing. We appreciate you guys tuning in on this Labor Day. I'm going to go make a quick video. We're going to talk about Nico. Is he the best quarterback in the SEC? What's the national media saying about him? I'm going to be dropping that hopefully within the next hour to an hour and a half, so be looking for that. Thank you guys so much for the support, all the memberships, the super chats, or even if you're just lurking in the chat. Let's make Talkin VAWLS the best freaking show it can be, the place to be for Tennessee football coverage. We don't have to have the most subscribers. We don't have to have the biggest audience, but I want to have the most diehard, passionate group of dang Tennessee fans right here on the Talkin VAWLS network, and I think we have it. But thank you all for the memberships and the support and the super chats, because we couldn't do it without you. But that is going to do it for this one. That video is going to be dropping soon, so tune in for that. But this is the Talkin VAWLS network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.
That we call home, and it's night and I'm alone and I'm alive.